of what's to come. I couldn't ask for another. No, I couldn't ask for another.
That's right.
Your groove, I do deeply dig. No walls, only the bridge. My supper dish, my succotash wish.
Sing it, baby.
I couldn't ask for another. No, I couldn't ask for another. Groove is in the heart. Groove is in the heart. Groove is in the heart.
Astronomical.
Groove is in the heart.
Watch
The
out.
depth of who the groove moves us to, the is who we're going through to. What is who? I couldn't ask for another. No, I couldn't ask for another. DJ Soul was on a roll. I've been told he can't be sold. He's not vicious or malicious, just lovely and delicious. I couldn't ask for another.
Yeah.
Blow them on the lawn.
Groove is in the heart.
Groove is in the heart. Groove is in the heart. Groove is in the heart. Groove is in the
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Dan with the bottle opener.
Yes. Church key.
Very nice.
I don't know what this one part is for. What is? What's that?
Ripped for her pleasure.
I guess so. It's very strange.
I don't know.
That's ChatGPT.
Gross.
Like this one, right? That's clearly for a bottle.
Yes.
Maybe the other one could be used to make squares of watermelon.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Could work.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Speaking
get
of
trouble.
watermelon, our quiz this week is going to be on summer rather than, of course, tomorrow being-
Summertime
Yeah.
and living is
That's
easy.
Tomorrow is the official, well, semi-official start of summer, with it being Memorial Day. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave Lente. Joined as always from Maryland, Dan the Man Fishman.
What's up, true believers? Thanks for tuning in, especially on a day when I know a lot of our normal listeners are watching the podcast from hell.
You mean we have normal listeners? What are you talking about?
By normal
Craig?
listeners, I mean the people with more than 7 toes. Which let me point out, excludes my friend Darren Pollock.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. I love Darren. He's
It's good
he's
dude.
a crazy dude.
Dude,
He is
he
a
would
crazy
laugh
dude.
at that joke.
He would. Yeah, he
Yep.
would. So we're also this week. We're talking about Graft.
Wait, you didn't introduce AJ yet.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's
From Denver,
okay. I'm here. It's fine.
AJ. What's up, AJ?
Yeah.
Hi.
Triumphal return from graduation of her youngest.
Oh, yeah, he did. He
Yep.
graduated.
That's awesome.
Thank you very
You
much.
are to be commended. It is no mean feat to pilot a teenager to the end of high school.
Yeah,
And you've done it twice. So
Yes.
They were
congratulations.
both pretty easy, honestly, compared to everybody else's kids. Like,
Well, you're.
I didn't really have a whole lot.
He finished in the top 10% of his class.
I believe so. I think he was number
Yeah.
23 or 26 out of 260 something, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Well, and it's especially impressive because, you know, you brought him from a state full of geniuses in Tennessee to.
Oh my, oh my,
Yeah.
oh my.
But
You
that's
know,
congratulations, Dave. I believe that you also had a graduated experience.
Yeah, two experiences this week. As we talked about at the end of the show last week. First off, Sabres lost in Game 7. Not a big
Oh, that
surprise.
sucks.
Heartbreak, and then double
Sad.
heartbreak on Friday. I do all the colonoscopy prep. I've given it the orifice, and they get in there, and it didn't work. I was full of shit.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, I have to go back in 3 months. I am not a fan of soup prep. It's like a mixture of all this sulfate, the stuff that'll make you poop.
Yep.
And seriously, it turned me into a conduit between my lips and asshole. And by the end, I was peeing for my butt essentially. And I'm sure a lot of people who are eating dinner right now are appreciating this talk, but I'm disappointed. It's another day and a half out of my life that I'm gonna have to give up for this process.
What is your plan to be successful next time?
Definitely not doing soup prep. People sworn, I did at one point. I did the Miralax and Gatorade
Yep.
mix, and that worked fine because I've had like 5.
Yep.
Sabres lost in overtime. It was sad.
In
It
Game
was a
7, really on
awful
just
goal.
a bonehead turnover.
bonehead turnover and a weak goal. So,
Very unfortunate. On the other hand, there was a huge sports success today. The Texas Lady Horns defeated Arizona State to return to the Softball World Series.
there you go. Good on
Very
them.
exciting. They lost the first game
Super happy.
and they won the next 2. And my favorite player on the team, Reese, whose last name is temporarily eluding me because I'm old, but is about to become the second player to earn $1 million in softball in NIL money.
Really?
And, I've had mixed feelings about NIL, but in women's sports, you can't deny it. It's such a boon. And, the best example, obviously, is Caitlin Clark and
Sure.
Angel Reese Witherspoon, who both were making over $10 million in NIL money, and then went to play for $73,000 in the
I'm
WNBA.
taking it a pay cut. I used to joke about that with the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yep.
That the Tide would take a pay cut to go to the NHL or to the NFL.
Yep.
Yeah, not surprised, but
Oh,
anyway,
there-
back to the
ahead.
colonoscopy.
Yep.
So yeah, 3 months. I was disappointed. People reach out to me like, "Oh, you've got to be, that's such a pain in the ass." And literally, it is a pain in the ass. It's not the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It's not like the worst day of your life to go
Well,
through. Prep.
Hopefully, it prevents the worst thing that will ever happen
Yes,
to you.
exactly. The real pain in the ass you're asleep for.
Right.
And
Although
that
I really am surprised they use general.
they said it was a local, but I was out. I time.
Yeah. No, a good local, you're out.
Yeah, I time traveled. It
Yeah.
was not. It was the Michael Jackson drug.
Well, it does raise a very interesting ethical question. Your mind was out. However, you were conscious and you're speaking. And the reason why doctors like it in this procedure is that they can ask you things. Oh, does that hurt? Does that feel uncomfortable? How are you feeling? Blah, blah, blah. And you answer all those questions. However, you'll answer other questions too. And if you are a garrulous person, and I like to use garrulous, loquacious, and other words to describe very talkative, you may talk about all sorts of things when you're under a local. And it's a very...
I've seen some videos.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question in terms of hospital ethics. Mass General had a bunch of courses on it that you were required to do. Part of your CEU or CUE, whatever the hell they call them, the continuing education units that everybody in the hospital is required to do, dealt with patients under anesthetic and what are your ethical requirements. And there's certain things that you don't want them to talk about. If they do, you should say, well, let's talk about something else, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah.
How do you act under anesthesia, Dan?
How do I act under anesthesia?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been anesthetized.
Really?
So the only time is I ruptured my Achilles tendon. And it was funny because the surgeon who did it, he's like, I just want you to know this is the simplest surgery there is. It is the first procedure that all surgical students do. We get a cadaver, we sever the Achilles tendon, and they reattach it. In fact, if you weren't such a big baby, you could do it yourself, which I thought was pretty funny. But
Wow.
so that's it. And I was in and out in about 2 hours. And then my wife sat with me after I got out of the surgery. So she was sort of my guardian as to what I would say. But that's it. That's the only time I've been anesthetized.
Yeah, I don't like. I usually joke before the surgery. Like they asked me about, they asked me about prep, and I said, well, I gave it the orifice, and that joke and everything.
There's another great prep joke to be made there.
I called it the Roto-Rooter to the salad shooter.
Oh, I was going to say prep. Prep is also the HIV prophylactic.
Oh yeah, it is
the drug.
Yeah.
So I can see why they would ask you about prep.
Yeah.
Your dangerous lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm so wild, but yeah, it's disappointing, but 3 months from now, I'll do it because I want it done. I want to know that I've got a good, clean bill of health. What they're able to see, they said was fine, but they just weren't able to see as much as they wanted to. So back at it in 3 months. Hey, Brandy. So just to address a little piece of news that Janice McKenzie dropped in there, our new national, I would say our national chair is Evan McMahon. Libertarian Party had their convention, or currently having their convention.
Yep.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan this week. The former political ex-wife of mine. They are healing to an extent.
Yeah. It's been interesting. I actually had originally envisioned to my friend Andy Burns, who I think you know.
Yeah, I know Andy.
Has been using what's called the Light Phone recently, LIGHT, and it's a phone that only has maps, email, calendar, and phone functionality on it, and chat apps, and that's it. No interwebs, no other things. And it's interesting because
no
I
porn?
was thinking about doing that this weekend, about completely staying away from Facebook because I got mixed feelings about it.
Oh yeah.
On the one hand, you know, probably 100 people that I really like to see are at that convention. But unfortunately, there's 1,000 people there, and
Well,
so
no, it really isn't.
it's like 500
There
and
may be
something, right?
a thousand people
Total, yeah,
maybe there, like plus ones
600
and shit like that.
delegates.
Yeah, like under 600 delegates. Which,
Yep,
when we were involved,
yep.
those even the one down in Florida
The off years.
during
COVID.
COVID still
Yep.
had 1,000 people in the room, and we and just speaks to what the Mises Caucus did, the leadership of Angela McArdle and all those bastards did to the Libertarian Party.
But what's interesting is, I apologize, just have to open that window. What's interesting to me is that there were a couple of very telling votes. Janice talked about the fact that Ovens and Ken were elected
love
to the
Ovens.
National Committee. Yeah, Ovens O'Brien, friend of the show. And that's great, both with around 60%.
Yep.
You have to have over 50%. But then the person who came in third was Roger Roots.
No. Jake Porter came in third.
Jake
He was
Porter,
like
49.5.
2 votes away from being elected, and then
Right.
Roger Roots.
Right. Roger Roots, former Klan member.
Wrote
at
a-
one point in time,
wrote an essay.
Wrote so many essays on why black people are intellectually inferior, how they're a threat to the American way, etc. Now, he claims to have
Tyler.
reformed, and I do think sometimes that people can redeem themselves, but I don't know that I think that people who ever held those views I ever want in charge of anything
Yeah.
in the Libertarian Party.
You can
And so-
you can redeem yourself over there.
exactly right, and I
Away
I
from me.
I like a redemption story, but
Yeah.
his redemption story also involved supporting the Mises Caucus.
Exactly.
So that part was disappointing that he got that, and then Jim Ostrowski, who may not be the worst person on the planet. However, I know people who spoke well of him, whose opinions I respect. However, he was the person who was endorsed by the Mises Caucus for chair.
Yeah.
And as I said, he is giving aid and succor to them by not refusing that endorsement, by making it seem like that's something worth having, that it is not irrational and repugnant to be a member of the Mises Caucus,
Yeah.
which it is. So that part was very disappointing. And I think there's a nice little transition segue from talking about the Mises Caucus and our topic for today,
Yeah. Because
political graft.
What happened to the Libertarian Party, for those who may not know, is that in 2022 they elected a woman to be the chair of the party by the name of Angela McArdle, who instantly just took it down a bad road, and financially backed by the first off the war rally that she did with Russian flags in the background, and then and I think this is what cost Wes Benedict his chance at being chair again, or chairing the party, was the joint fundraising committee with RFK Jr.
So I think if I can jump in a little bit ahead of this, having been there and been, not really in politics, but politically active for a while, and having been the executive director of the Libertarian Party, there is a reality that a lot of people don't realize. There is so much money in politics.
Yes.
And because there is so much money in politics, the opportunity for graft is enormous.
Oh my God, yeah.
And let me talk about some graft that I think most of us will approve of. So I have a friend who runs a boutique political organization in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a unique place because it is a huge presidential primary, and everybody's still in it by New Hampshire, or most people are still in it. So you make a lot of money. Somebody wants to hire you to win in New Hampshire. That's where you make your money. And then during non-presidential years, you find candidates around the country that need your help. And this guy is a shrewd political operative, and right after November 2020, when Trump said the election was stolen, he's like, we can form an organization that says we are going to investigate whether or not the election was stolen. And we can raise a lot of money from a lot of idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. He raised $2 million saying we are going to get all the investigation done. We're going to find out what happened. And he put together a very comprehensive report of all the coverage that was in the media that said the election was not stolen. Thank you for your $2 million. And that's it. Now, would we call that graft? Maybe not. I mean, it's not government. It's not coming from the government.
No, it's not coming from the government. I mean,
May-
it is.
It's related to politics. And the thing is that there are issues like this all the time where people who are quote unquote political operatives can get paid pretty significantly. So we had an issue in Massachusetts where somebody put together a proposition. Massachusetts still has laws by petition. The people can put something on the ballot and they can vote on it. And so they were able to get, out of the entire state of Massachusetts, 67,000 signatures to say, and this is like 2018, people can only use a bathroom of their birth sex. It's called the bathroom bill. And the thing is, they're able to find hardcore, small-minded Republicans who are willing to give money to do that. It came out 2 years later that they had also formed the other side, the group that would oppose that would get money from Democrats to defeat that bill, because they knew Democrats would pay out the wazoo to defeat that legislation. And so they actually were raising money from both sides. And here's the crazy thing.
Perverse.
Totally legal.
Oh, I know.
They did
it is.
nothing illegal. And the thing is, there's so much money in politics because of the power that unethical people will find ways to make lots of money in politics.
I mean, it's like the old Willie Sutton quote about why did you rob the bank? Because that's where the money is.
But I thought it was John Dillinger, but maybe it's Willie Sutton.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And that's why, that's going to lead into my my advertisement for Tell Government at the end of the show.
Yeah.
But we are living in a world where there's so much power and so much money in government that people will do whatever they can to control government so that they can deliver things. Ralph Nader had a great quote. He said, Republicans and Democrats are competing to serve their corporate masters. And there really is something to be said for that, because laws are being used right now to allow corporations to make more money.
Yeah.
Which isn't what laws are supposed to be used for.
Well, I mean, I've said this before on the show that money in politics is better than playing the stock market, because if you can buy, and I'm going to say, if you can buy a congressman, a senator, well placed, they're on the budget committee or the finance committee or something along those lines, or the committee that regulates your industry, you can buy those people with campaign donations. That money's going to flow back to you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's better than playing the stock market, but better than doing an IPO or better than doing any of this stuff. And you see where companies like tech companies were very resistant to getting involved in Washington for a number of years. And then the Washington saw how much money those companies were making. They started suing them for antitrust, all these other things. And tech companies then learned that if I want to get Washington off my back, I've got to give money to these politicians.
Right. If you think politics doesn't affect you, it just hasn't found you yet.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
there is another fascinating thing about it, that people who are unethical or even ethical political operatives can find an issue that you could form an organization over. There is a domain that I'm sitting on, fairassessments.org. Colorado, where AJ lives, has an issue where the assessor can come in and massively raise the valuation of your house, increasing your property taxes by an enormous amount. A friend of mine bought a bare piece of land down in the Three Sisters area, which is in southern Colorado. Nothing there. Built his house with his hands, built his solar power, and then built a tower so that he could get microwave internet. That's how long ago it was, long before Skynet or whatever Elon Musk's thing is called. I can't remember what it's called. Starlink, right.
He was right the
But-
first time.
It's true.
But then he got an assessment on his property that said your property is now worth $1 million because of all the work that you've put in on it. And so, now this piece of property that you bought for
Yeah.
$20,000, you now owe $80,000 in taxes on it every year. He's like, I bought this to be my retirement. And the problem is, you'd say, well, that's fine. Shit like that happens. You ought to be able to appeal it.
Can't.
You can't in Colorado. And so essentially the assessor will review his or her own work, and then say, nope, I was right.
And and that's the whole issue that we have with a lot of law enforcement is we've investigated ourselves and found we've done nothing wrong.
Right. So what's interesting about it is Colorado has limited law by petition, but I mentioned this to somebody and they're like, Dan, you could form a political organization around this. Like, you have experience. You could make yourself executive director of this nonprofit and get paid to actually do something good and change the laws around this. And I'm like, I don't want to get paid to do shit like that. I mean, that's the sort of thing that, I want people to do organically. And my friend was like, it's like, why shouldn't you get paid for doing it? You've got the organizational skills. If you get involved in this, you can change the law. He's like, why shouldn't you be paid? He's like, you don't even have to take, your regular salary. Like, just, pay yourself $50,000 a year to get this done. And any nonprofit would say that's a
very nice.
bargain for a person, for an executive director. And this is an issue in all 50 states. So you get it done in Colorado first, and then you take your organization nationwide, blah, 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 blah. He's like, this is your job for the rest of your life.
Just a quick note: Kara Schultz of the political ex-wife,
Yeah.
Libertarian Party, absolute, just national treasure.
Yep.
Love Kara. She's wonderful.
Yep.
And good. Congratulate on her winning the Thomas Paine Award. So
Yes. Her winning it was common sense.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also we should plug her YouTube channel. It's really good. It's the Comfortable Camper. I'll find it. I'll put a link up for it. But she's got a great organizational channel on YouTube for camping. And by episode 4, she's already got 45,000 views on her latest video. So
Yeah, I know she camps out of like a small ass car. it's
Yeah,
it's
out
quite
of a
amazing.
Honda CRV.
Okay, yeah.
And she's had a bunch of really good videos about that stuff. But yeah, it was great that Cara won.
Yeah.
So let's talk about real graft, where
Ooh,
the
we've
government.
had some good examples over this last week.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So this week it was announced that Trump, who has been suing the federal government, of which he is the head of the executive branch of, and the head of the Department of Justice and the head of
Yep.
the FBI and all this other stuff, the IRS, had been suing because the IRS had released his tax documents illegally back in 2018, I think,
Yeah.
and was suing them for $10 billion.
Right.
Now, one of the things, if you're watching Donald Trump, he always goes big and then will settle for something less, um, unless he can get you to give in on the big thing. Um, so he settled with the federal government, of which he is the head of, for a really kind of cheeky number of 1.776
$1 billion
billion dollars.
with a B.
Um, to settle, and there are a whole lot of little codicils that were stuffed in there that have caused a lot of tumult within official Washingtondom. Um, One of those things is that this essentially is a slush fund. They've asked Todd Blanche, head of the Department of Justice, who's going to be eligible for this slush fund. Would not deny that January 6th protesters would be eligible to receive money from this thing. Donald Trump eligible to receive money from this thing. We're not sure. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Essentially,
really unbelievable when it comes to Donald Trump.
what's interesting about it is that it's setting up essentially a slush fund.
Yeah.
And government has almost always existed to do that, to have a way to redistribute the money that it collects from the many to the few through political patronage.
Yeah.
And, the word patron used to be used to mean the people who benefited the arts, or construction, or things that were done for the public good. But as the government took over the idea that it was responsible for the public good, government became responsible for the patronage, taking that away from the wealthy people and opening it up for graft. And there's a million different ways in which that sort of thing happens. I'll reference a quick Massachusetts one again. Anybody who's driven in Massachusetts knows that on the Mass Pike, there are tolls and there are toll stations. Massachusetts still does not have all automated systems. They still have people who run the toll booths. And the reason why is because those jobs are political patronage. You give me $10,000 for my campaign, and I get your idiot son a job, a government job, at the toll booth, which I guarantee you he's qualified for. Now, it's
Not
arguably
the
a
hardest
bad.
job in the world. Yeah.
It's not the hardest job in the world. The only thing that's hard about it is that you're breathing in fumes all day long.
Sure.
However, let's assume that they've got that. We don't care about that, because in Massachusetts, you work 20 years for the state and you retire with an 80% pension for the rest of your life. So you work through those 20 years from, let's just say you get that job at 18 to you're 38, and you retire with, a salary of, I don't know, let's just say $80,000, right? They don't give them crazy. I mean, people in Massachusetts who work for the state make a ridiculous amount of money. School teachers make around $120,000 a year. But let's just say that for toll booths, $80,000, right? So you're going to get 80% of that, which is 8 times 8, $64,000 a year for the rest of your life for not doing anything. And you're 38 years old.
Damn.
That is an example of graft.
Damn. Yeah, but this administration is taking Graft to a whole new level. We're not talking just this slush fund because that's getting pushed back.
Yep.
We've seen some lawsuits from two of the cops that were injured on January 6th. We're
Yep.
also seeing John Thune and Rand Paul speaking out against the funding of this and how it's going to be distributed. But earlier in this, and this is just this term. The plane that he received from the Qatari government that is going to be supposedly being used as Air Force One, and then he'll take it home with him at the end of his presidency.
Let's talk about the painting of the pool.
Painting
Reflective
the pool, the cryptocurrency, the Trumpcoin, the sale of pardons,
Right. Now, what's interesting...
sale of indulgences.
Right, exactly. Sale of indulgences. Why don't you go into that, since that's your people, not mine. Why don't you talk about what a sale of indulgences is?
So, I mean, the reason why there's a Protestant church is that the Pope would sell the ability to sin. If you're a philanderer, you would get the ability to have sex outside of marriage, and that was probably the biggest moneymaker, I would assume. But gluttony, all the deadly sins, you would be able to buy the ability, essentially a get out of hell free card,
Right.
and
And,
absolution for your sins.
It's written into Catholicism that there is forgiveness, right, if you confess your sins, but you're supposed to do penance to prove that you're actually sorry.
And a lot of this was pre-clearance, essentially. I'm
Yep, exactly.
gonna go sleep with the queen's sister,
Right.
you know.
And so now there's a lot of that going on in government. And of course, the problem is that the problem for the people who want to sell indulgences is that in the United States, it's actually illegal to do it.
Yes.
So you need a way to sell indulgences that isn't actually quite the same way.
Oh,
But now, AJ, why don't you explain to us how the Trump coin works?
How the Trump coin works?
Yep.
Well, I can't imagine that people are actually getting a Trump coin. It feels like they probably send the money in ahead of time, like for the Trump phone or Trump University, the Trump steaks, or I don't know, the 5 billion other things that he sold people. Oh, the shoes. Do you remember the tacky shoes?
yeah.
Right. And you buy all those things. And Trump coin is exactly like that. The Trumps issued their own cryptocurrency, which they owned all of. But then they said, people who want to can buy it for whatever price they want. And people started bidding up the price. And, it went to billions of dollars. And so now people were able to legally give the Trumps $1 billion in payola. And we say, oh, no, this isn't this wasn't graft. We didn't give them money. We actually bought Trump coins that we could sell and get them off. It's very interesting.
Wow.
Because Tyler's point, for people who can't read, Tyler Harris says the biggest money in indulgences was for the medieval Catholic Church, was actually folks buying them for their deceased loved ones to shorten their time in purgatory. And let's talk about the fact that that's the other thing with graft, is that the people in charge sell you shit that they actually can't sell.
Well, I was about to say, how do we know they're in purgatory? Did they tell you they're in purgatory?
How do we know
the
that
church tells you that they're in purgatory?
The local priest has got authority from God to sell that.
We could do a show on modern
sorry,
religion
this
and
is so
seeing
gross.
the same thing too.
Well, so here we are, talking about graft in government, and one of the things that we can talk about is that when you talk about this $1.7 billion slush fund, the idea was that it was going to be used to pay off people who committed crimes on Donald Trump's behalf.
Yeah. Well, it's not just crimes on Donald Trump's behalf. I would wonder what. So,
Sorry, the
one of the big,
copier.
yeah, well, actually, they're all cap. Well, yeah, yours did come through as all caps, but it all caps anyway on the show. So you're good, man. Uh, and it is kind of it does piss me off that all we heard were uh, Biden Bidenomics and all that stuff, and now they're crickets about the economy as it's going. But
Mhm.
So, I do think that we should talk about America.
America.
Make America great again. And the things that we have really excelled in is political graft.
Ooh, God,
And
yeah.
we have
They sure are.
two scandals that they are beautiful. Actually, there's more than two, but
Well, there are many.
let's start with Tammany Hall,
Yes.
right? So people may remember or have heard of Boss Tweed. Tweed was the political matchmaker in New York. He arranged for almost
Currently done by
every,
Chuck Schumer.
currently done by Chuck Schumer. He arranged for almost every job that was going to be done with some graft baked in as political favors. So he said, okay, well, this courthouse project is going to cost, these are the ones that famously came to light, it's going to cost about $100,000. We're going to put the bill at $1 million. The government will pay $1 million. And the construction company gets a little bit. Boss Tweed gets a little bit. The head of the union gets a little bit. It all goes around. The graft is
Like a little
payola
chunk
going
off,
on.
yeah.
Exactly. And the job does not go to the lowest bidder. The job goes to whomever Boss Tweed says is supposed to get it. And we'll make the current analogy where Donald Trump was going to paint the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C., which had normally been a slate gray. He was going to paint it
For a reason.
tacky
Pool.
pool blue.
Full blue.
Pool blue. And
You ain't
he
got to be
gave
poor to be trashy. He's
he
proving it every day. Every
he
day.
he gave the contract out, a no bid contract,
Which you
to the
can't do.
person who paints his pools at Mar-a-Lago.
Which is a place known for its refinement and grace.
Yes, which is honest. First of all, as Dave pointed out, it's illegal. The government's not allowed to give out no bid contracts.
The only time you can do a no bid contract in the government
Is
is
an
it
emergency.
is an emergency that essentially has to be a national security issue.
Right.
The reflecting pool is not a national security issue.
No. I mean, Trump's argument was he had taken a leak in it. And
Jesus Christ.
therefore,
Lord knows what's going in there now.
exactly. Who knows what's growing? And I want to give just a little bit of a shout out to the Teapot Dome scandal, which is also America's really great political scandal. And of course, it involved oil. In the 20s, U.S. government gave out oil reserves. They were leased to private companies in return for bribes. Interior Secretary Albert Falls accepted cash and gifts from oil executives, and it involved the National Strategic Reserve. So he was giving away the oil in the 1920s, right? I mean, let's face it, we're in between two world wars. So it's a strategic reserve. And he actually became the first cabinet member to be sent to prison, but not the last. So those are probably two of our biggest examples
Yeah.
of graft, where the government is awarding things that the government has that are supposed to be for the people because of political power.
So
You're
the
going
one
to
thing
have to
I
put a
was
trigger warning on this one. Because it's just
Oh,
like,
well, the
this
thing
is
about it is,
hopeless.
the thing about it is, yeah, it is hopeless because all the time
See,
you
he agreed.
yeah,
Sorry.
you hear all these crazy stories, and I mean, we're just scratching the surface. I mean, I think of the terrible graft that I've seen just incidentally in projects that I've been involved in. When I got involved in politics in Beverly, my hometown in Massachusetts, Beverly International Airport called International because private planes could fly back and forth from Quebec.
Huh.
Beverly International Airport decided at one point in time that they were going to put in a new off ramp off of the runway. And so they got a bid, and it ended up being $600,000. And it was done perfectly. The guy who did it, the contractor, did an amazing job. Then they said, this is so good, we're going to put one in on the other side, on this other runway where we weren't planning on putting one in. We'll just put another one in, and we'll pay $600,000 for it. And then another company came in and said, you know what, we object to this because you're giving them this contract, and that would be a no bid job. So you have to open it up and let people bid. And so, the city was like, okay. So they bid, and the first company came in at $600,000 to do the job, and the second company came in at $3 million. But the second company said, here's the thing, it actually is going to cost you less because we have a relationship with the federal government where, because this is an international airport, the federal government will pick up 80% of the cost for you to do this. And the city's like, well, so that only means that it's only going to cost us $240,000 to do it. But we'd still be spending $3 million. It just seems like a better deal to make a deal with the $600,000 bid. But then after the time for submitting bids was done, the $600,000 company withdrew their bid. And so the $3 million company did it, and they hired the $600,000 company to do it for $1 million. So everybody made money except for the taxpayers who lost out because it's graft. Yep.
Are you trying to radicalize me? I'm already there, buddy.
Well,
oh my gosh, this makes me so angry.
And there's so many examples of this sort of thing happening at every level. When major construction happens, major construction companies happen. Again, in Massachusetts, there's a famous big construction called the Big Dig, where they essentially dug tunnels.
Don't say that too fast.
The Big Dig, where they dug tunnels under Boston to alleviate the traffic. And it was a really good idea. It was an enormous project. It was originally budgeted at $1 billion, and it was going to be done in 5 years. It ended up costing $15 billion, and it took 12 years to do. Mm-hmm. And what's really interesting is that it was generally acknowledged that Massachusetts would not have gotten away with this if they hadn't had an incredibly powerful senator in Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy had the moxie to push it through. But part of what happened was graft money. So the neighborhoods that were overhead, where they were digging the tunnels underneath.
Are you talking about the Big Dig?
The Big Dig, yes, I am.
Yeah, God,
say
I
it
know
fast.
that.
Those neighborhoods all got easement money to make it not so bad to have a tunnel dug under their houses.
Undermined.
Which didn't affect them at all. They didn't notice it or anything like that. But they got millions of dollars.
Speaking of undermined, there's a city up in northern Sweden that had to be moved because they had literally undermined the city. There was I can't remember what they were mining there, but it might have been iron ore or something along those lines. But had mined underneath the city, and it was like a city of about 25,000 people. They had to move it like 10 miles away. It was probably within the last 15, 20 years that they did that. But the Big Dig was just, I mean, how long did that thing last?
15 years. It was supposed to be 5.
Yeah,
and
that
it was an
was.
enormous amount of money.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, another great example of graft that people are probably very familiar with, if you've ever watched The Sopranos, right? The mob is famous for getting graft, getting government jobs, no work jobs, as a result of government contracts.
Yeah.
And I can speak again to a personal experience. My best friend, in one of my best friends in college, whose name is Tim, and I'll skip his last name, but his father worked for the Daily
A
Machine.
statute of limitations.
I don't know, but I will spare him this thing. But his father worked for the Daily Machine in Chicago. So his first job at the age of 15 was building inspector for skyscrapers. So he would go to the construction site, and one of the things they tell him is like, very important. You have to make sure that everybody on the site is wearing a hard hat. See somebody without a hard hat, you really got to yell at him. He says, "Oh, you got to wear a hard hat." He's like, "I'm only 15 years old." He's like, "Everybody's got to be wearing a hard hat." Because the other thing you have to do is there's a whole list of like building codes and things that have to be adhered to. You don't have to inspect those. You can just hand that sheet to the manager, the construction manager, and he'll fill that out for you, and then you just sign it.
Jesus. Now you're on the hook.
He's 15 years old.
Yeah.
Can't go to jail.
Yeah. So yeah, if the building collapses or there's an incident in the
Oh my
building that's related to the
God.
construction, he's on the hook for that shit.
Well, so they actually, not that long ago, he was back at a building that he had inspected, and there was a scandal there. And the scandal was the building was 24 stories tall, but one of the elevators only went up to the 20th floor. The other elevator went up to the 20th. They just saved some money by not making it go all the way up.
All right. Well, jeez. Yeah, yeah, it's not just the federal government that we see graft from, and it's not just and we've outlined a few instances where it's political parties. Political parties. I mean, another instance of graft within political parties is when it comes to issues. When we talk about how political parties don't solve their big key core issues because they fundraise off of those things. Like they could have codified Roe versus Wade. The Democrats could have codified Roe versus Wade back in the 70s, but they didn't because they used the threat of Republicans, overturning Roe versus Wade as a massive moneymaker, and they're still making money off of it. So if if the Supreme Court reversed itself tomorrow, which we know they wouldn't, but if they did, they wouldn't move to codify Roe versus Wade in law. They would continue to fundraise off of it.
So what's interesting about it is we know that every time government exists, graft happens because there's money and people want to get paid. Everybody wants to get paid. We've created a system, and I mean, you can blame capitalism for this if you want. I don't really blame capitalism for it, but
I mean, graft is an international thing.
Yeah, exactly. What? And exactly. And as a matter of fact, you can go to socialist countries, and you'll still find enormous levels of government graft. The difference is that the party is giving out favors to whomever, as opposed to other aspects of what's happening. But one of the great things, one of the reasons why the Russian military has been so shit for all these years is enormous amounts of graft.
God.
People were supposed to be making great weapons and training soldiers and stuff like that, but instead, everybody was getting drunk. So
they were making vodka off of jet fuel.
Yep. Windshield wiper.
On shine blind. Yeah.
Yep. So the question is,
AJ's face.
how do you
This whole conversation.
how do you stop people from using the power of government to collect money, which then gets stolen by powerful people who can manipulate government?
Chop off fingers.
How about fingers?
Stop me. I'm just saying.
What stopped you?
No, it
I
was stop.
chop
Yeah.
off fingers. That would
Oh.
stop me. Not
Well,
whole hands, just fingers.
Hmm.
Start with the useless ones.
Well, it's funny you say that because I chopped the tip of this finger off
just the tip.
6 months ago, just the tip. It's, what did the leper say to the prostitute?
Keep the tip.
Yep. Okay. So the thing about it, though, is that it's still like it is healing very slowly, but it's not as dexterous as it used to be. And this
You're right, Tyler.
is not working great. Why don't you read Tyler's quote?
Yeah. One of the great triumphs of liberal democracy is that normal citizens don't need to engage with that corruption to live. That's true. Like,
Yeah.
you go to, insert a barely functioning African country here, and, just to get across the border, just to move between towns, you have to pay some group to be able to do that. And that's true, not just Africa, but, South America, Asia. There are places where all over
Yeah.
this world where just to, the freedom of movement to go to the next town is
And
impeded.
everybody expects a payout like that.
Yeah.
My friend Jorge, his family prints the Spanish language yellow pages for Rhode Island. And about 25 years ago, his family, actually, interesting story, his family came from Bolivia. His name is Jorge Sanchez de Lozada, which people may know was one of the famous dictators there. They left because they didn't agree with their dictator relative. They came in and they were legalized under the first amnesty, under the Reagan amnesty, which is really interesting. So at one point in time, they realized it's too expensive to print this yellow pages in the United States anymore. And so they decide they're going to go print it in Colombia instead. This is like in the early 90s. And so the father goes down there and he brings my friend George with him. George adopted an Anglicization of his name. And they go down there, and when you check into the hotel, you give them your passports. And that's, for people who don't know, that's not an uncommon practice in foreign countries. So then they're getting ready to leave, and the guy at the front desk is like, I don't know where your passports are. They're like, what? My friend is like, what are you talking about? Your job was to keep our... He says, I'm sorry, senor. I don't know where they are. My friend is starting to get really mad. And his dad's like, calm down, calm down. He puts down a $20 bill, and he's like, are you sure you don't... Oh, here they are, senor. Somebody put them under a different name. I'm sorry, that's it. And his dad's like, this is South America. That's just the way business gets done. Everybody gets to, wherever you are, exact a little bit of tax for their labor. Yeah. And, at a hotel, they got a pretty good scam going on there. So $20 to get your passport back. Anybody who's ever taken a taxi, chances are pretty good if you've taken a taxi anywhere before Uber. Sometimes taxi drivers would take you for a ride, quite literally.
Oh, yeah.
They would drive you around other places.
That's that meter going.
Their tax, yeah. Right? And everybody's got an opportunity to do it. Tyler's point about what is supposed to happen, what is supposed to be the right system, happens only when people are committed to making that happen.
Yeah.
And that happens only when people actually feel like everybody's supposed to be invested in government, as opposed to...
And there shouldn't be a two-tier system.
Right, that there's a committed. And that only happens when the people at the top agree.
Yeah.
Because the people at the top generally have the ability to fuck the whole system. And it doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what your system of government is, the people at the top always do the fucking. And if it's communist, if it's socialist, if it's a monarchy, whatever it is, the people at the top always have the worst. The only way you can hope for that to get a little bit better is if you elect the people at the top. A government of the people, by the people, for the people. I made that phrase up myself. But that is why I think all of us who have been involved in politics for so long are still fighting in this situation that has just sucked ass for the last 6 to 8 years. Because if we don't fight against it,
Yeah.
it's worse everywhere else. And so that's I guess my final statement about graft. There's so much graft. You ask anybody who's known anybody who's worked in politics or for political campaigns or whatever, and we can talk a little bit about the allegations of graft against Angela McArdle, who the former LNC chair. So again, there are all these stupid laws in the United States about who can give money to what political cause. But there's a thing called a PAC, where everybody can give, and I'm just spitballing numbers here, but roughly speaking, every person can give $10,000 to a PAC if they want to. And they can give $10,000 to as many PACs as they want to. So when Kennedy started his campaign, they made this thing called the JFC, where they had a special permission.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Exactly. Where everybody gave $10,000 to different PACs around the country that then funneled money up into the Kennedy campaign itself, which then paid off its patrons. So allegedly, Angela McArdle created a PAC called Rescue the West, and the Kennedy campaign paid her $800,000 for that, which she then took home.
And she extracted a good amount of money from the
LNC
Libertarian
as well.
Party, yeah, for her.
Well, that money,
paramour.
she was only able to get that money through the LNC, but also, yes, exactly right. There was a no-bid contract for the LNC website, which then was...
Which is shit.
Well, it was supposedly done by a French company, which happened to have the same address as Angela McArdle.
Yes.
And so all the checks that were going to this French company went to her house.
She lived in the south of France, which is, I think, Austin, Texas.
That's where the naked lady stands. Yes. And Jake Porter discovered all of this stuff by looking up FEC reports.
Interviewed Jake. Yeah.
And
he continues to do great work on the whole issue as well.
Yeah, he continued to do great work. And in the end, the website that was delivered to the LNC didn't work, even though they had paid $12,000 for it. And in the end, Matt Hudson, who's on staff at the LNC, had to convert a non-working thing into a working website because they had destroyed the original website, which worked perfectly.
Exactly.
It is that level of graft is pervasive everywhere, and the only defense against it, and people who are students of history, you will find that level of graft documented well in the Roman Empire. They had, in fact, great crimes for doing great penalties for the crimes of doing things like that. But there are well-documented cases of graft in the Roman Empire. Anywhere where there is government, there is graft. People find a way to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, so much of, and I said this before, so much of government, and what we've realized in the last couple of years, especially, is that so much of government is actually it's hard to say this gentleman's agreement because there's not many gentlemen in government at this point. But it's a gentleman's agreement that will uphold the laws, and we're seeing that now. If I don't want to uphold the law, I'm going to be able to make out these. I'm going to be able to sell these pardons. I'm going to be able to, continue to run my companies, despite the tradition of putting them into blind trust during your administration. I'm going to be able to, have this cryptocurrency that the Qatari government and the United Arab Emirates government have given vast sums of money to.
Right.
No, they're not expecting the Trumpcoin to hit, to go Bitcoin rival. They're just they're throwing money into this fund to curry favor with the government.
Right, because it's easy for them to do. And you know, there's a great quote from Vladimir Putin, who after the 2016 election had said, you know, he was accused of meddling in the election. He's like, if I wanted to influence the American government, I would have just given money to the Clinton Foundation. Great quote.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
exactly what it
absolutely.
is. All these people have all of these vehicles by which cash can be deposited to buy their favor. And all they have is political power.
And you know, and right now, one of the people that would investigate that is a guy named Cash. You know,
Yeah,
the
Cash Patel.
Cash Patel would investigate these things, and you know he's not going to go against the
Because
president at this
he's
point.
getting the graft that he wants. He
Exactly.
gets to go to the Olympic hockey game. He gets to
He gets
fly
to
his
have the
girlfriend on the
FBI. Yeah,
private jet.
yeah. He gets to have the SWAT teams accompany him and his girlfriend wherever they go. It's crazy.
Yep.
Ken, you said the reason why Trump could not go to the Bahamas for his son's wedding. Honestly, his son's got to be disappointed that you know he's the only kid his dad wouldn't travel to an island for.
Da-dum, dum,
So
shh.
yeah,
Yep.
Wasn't there also something about the Bahamas are worse for pedophiles?
probably have worse laws for pedophiles.
I mean, it's a member of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
Prince
see how
Andrew
they're
hasn't
treating
seemed to
Prince
suffer.
Andrew,
Yeah.
Prince formerly known as Andrew.
The prince formerly known as Andrew. Yeah, it is. So the realization, and I think the realization for people in the liberty movement, and you know, I think a lot of us have our hopes pinned on the Liberal Party, which you know, we have Tyler Harris on the thread, big high muckety muck, the Liberal Party. The idea that we should have a government that has so little power that people don't want to buy it. Because if it has enough power that people can buy it, they will.
Yeah, I've long said that you'll never get, uh, you know, graft and corruption out of politics to get the money out of government until you get the money out of government.
Right.
The fact that the government can raise you know a couple $1 trillion every year means that it's you know there's that's where the money is. You know
Right.
the easy AJ.
How much? Oh, well, who do we owe the most money to?
I mean, technically speaking, I would say that it is the Americans because we borrowed out of the Social Security lockbox. So our debt to Social Security is, I want to say it's on the order of $40 trillion.
Okay, that's never going to be fixed. What country do we owe the most to?
It's usually well, I don't know China.
Yeah, that,
And
that's always a little hard to say, and it's a weird thing because when other countries lend you money, you get to pay them back at the rate that you want. If you believe that Dick Cheney was an evil mastermind, which I think is a reasonable belief,
I mean, he was an
one
asshole old man.
one of
I'm
the
not going to
interesting
say he's
things
a
that they
master.
did was they borrowed a lot of money from the Chinese government, and then they devalued the American currency and paid them back pennies on the dollar
okay,
because
so
the
I got a
Chinese
list.
know dick about economics,
I got a list.
but now they know dick.
Okay,
So foreign entities roughly $8.5 to $9 trillion of U.S. debt. Americans hold the most. There's about 40 to 42% of domestic public debt. It's pension funds, mutual funds, banks, individuals. But the largest holder is Japan with 1.2 trillion, followed up by the United Kingdom at 800 billion, and then China at 700 to 750 billion, and then the Cayman Islands, which surprise, surprise, they didn't put the number there, but yeah, that's
okay. So my next question is, what if they all come to collect? What if
we
they
would,
all decide, you know what, United States, you're being a fucking asshole. Like you're pissing off everybody. You're making everybody's stuff just harder. So what we're all going to do is we're all going to decide, and if you all happen to be listening, just saying,
Yeah.
we're going to collect that money now. Nope, you've had plenty of time to pay it. You're doing stupid shit. You're out at the club. You're getting new nails. I saw the new cell phone. Like, no, you're doing stupid shit. Pay me back first.
It's
a
a
good
mutually
question.
assured destruction.
What would you
essentially.
do in a scenario like that? Let's just say, AJ, you are the president. We should be so lucky. And all of a sudden, every country says, America, we're calling your debt. And you go to your Secretary of Treasury and say, these people want $8 trillion,
Hmm.
which we don't have.
So
Your Secretary of
here's
Defense
my
says,
answer.
Not taking calls, man. I'm dodging
Yeah.
them.
Here's my answer as a single mom.
yep,
That, as y'all said, I have gotten two of them through high school. So I start selling shit. Like that's what you do. You start selling shit.
I'm selling Ted Cruz
uh,
Things
to
that have
Cuba.
value.
well,
That's true.
Things that have value.
you could sell Gitmo.
Um,
You could sell American bases. It's interesting actually because somebody talked about they're talking about how much money the U.S. puts into foreign countries. Japan is actually a very interesting case because Japan is number 2 recipient of American foreign aid. And a lot of people will say, well, wait, that's not true. Israel's number 1 and somebody else is number 2. But actually, Germany is number 1 and Japan is number 2 because of the amount we spend to maintain military bases in those countries and to pay for all of the soldiers who live there, at least in theory, defending those countries. So Japan might say, oh, you owe us $1.2 trillion. And we'd say, well, we've got all these bases that if we leave, Russia's going to come in, or North Korea, or whatever. Now, is that realistic? I don't know. But realistically speaking, right, debt is
China.
all bullshit anyway. Money's all bullshit, right? The U.S. government could just say, oh, here's your $6 trillion. Printing press go.
see, this is where I'm at with it. I don't see any way for this to go well.
Well, Dave's a Keynesian. Tell us about modern monetary policy.
Printer go vroom.
That's essentially it. The idea is that who cares?
I
Keynesians will tell you, John Maynard Keynes, blah blah blah, that you don't really have to worry about inflation because it's really about confidence. And if the government says that they have $6 trillion more and they pay everybody out, on the grand scheme of how much money there is in the whole world, how much have they actually devalued currency overall?
I mean, they could be like Debo in Friday and be like, "What's 6 million or 6 trillion?"
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we could.
Come and get it.
I'm like, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they could just say, yeah, we don't. We're we've done this with Africa before. I know Bush did this with a forgiveness of debts, and that's been a contentious issue, but we just set everyone back at zero. Now you're talking about the confidence, and when
Like I can't confidently go into King Supers and like load up a cart of food and just walk out without consequences.
well,
Well,
you confidently.
So
do
is
that.
there not consequences for us being shitty in debt country to the rest of the world?
nuclear
And
nuclear
also
war?
being assholes?
I mean, the consequences are what they are. First of all, there's the great statement, right? It's not J.P. Morgan, but whoever said it, it's like if you owe the bank
Yeah,
$200,000, the bank owns you. If you owe the bank $200 million, you own the bank. And there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
In that, it was so. First, let me just say one other thing that there's a great sketch for people who love Joan Rivers, where Joan Rivers used to rip on the royal family all the time. It's part of her stand-up routine. Fon, fon, fon. She's like, they're a bunch of dogs. You go on the street and you yell, Prince, Duke. You're gonna see a bunch of dogs running down the street. And and so Johnny Carson set her up where they had an amazing Margaret Thatcher impersonator meet her in an airport lounge in Heathrow. And they met and they talked, and then this woman started giving her a hard time about her comedy routine. And the at one point in time, she's like, Vla, you're so rude to us. And Joan Rivers like, you do still owe us an enormous amount of money from the war. That is still actually true,
Sure.
right? I mean, if you England, you said was number 3 at $800 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, realistically speaking, the English debt to the Americans is significantly higher than that.
Sure. And it's really mostly like buying treasury-backed securities and things
Exactly,
like that,
right,
it's
exactly.
for their pension funds and things like that.
Right.
I
They
mean,
they buy American debt because it's safer than their own country's debt.
Sure.
So
And but here's the thing, and if those countries do want to call in the debt at the same time, let's just say there's a coordinated economic war, and they say we're calling in the debt. You have to
Yeah.
pay us tomorrow. It's the impact to the global economy, including theirs, will be such that they destabilize their own government. It is this whole mutually assured destruction. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility, just like nuclear war is not out of the realm of possibility, even though there is a mutually assured destruction aspect of nuclear war, or pretty much confidence of nuclear war that everyone will be destroyed. But that's what kind of keeps everyone from going to that place.
Right. The other interesting thing
we
about
were
it is that
talking before about it would only take, what was it, 3 days?
Oh yeah,
So
I mean,
how do we
we are
how do we get away with being the cause of all of that bullshit
I know.
and the
I mean,
world not calling us out? Sorry, Dan. I'm just
no, that's fine.
no, because I get it, because we were talking earlier before the show, that essentially the United States is on a 3-day supply of food. Our logistics in the United States gets products to the shelves on a 3-day rotation. That if you have a massive disruption to our supply chain, whether it's like an EMP weapon taking out electronics or satellite disruptions and things like that, we go back to paper maps. Within 3 days, the store shelves will empty. And, can you get products to the market efficiently on a paper routing system? Eventually you will. Eventually the skills will come back, but then you have to really build in, rather than a 3-day supply, you need to have more of a week supply of food to address that.
I mean, certainly we live in a point where people are so far removed from food, especially modern American cities, that it certainly could be disastrous.
Oh yeah.
The thing that would work the best in that scenario is price gouging. We've seen it in places like in Houston after Hurricane Harvey. The reality of it is that if New York City is starving, and actually New York's not a great example because there's a lot of agricultural products very near. New York is mostly an agricultural state, except for the city.
New Jersey.
Yeah,
That's a farmland. Yeah.
yeah. But let's take a better
Also
example.
New Jersey though.
Yeah, but actually Denver is probably a good example of 2 million people and a lot of cattle, but not a lot of agriculture.
I told you I wouldn't last long.
Well, what's interesting about it though
Fucking told you.
is that you are 200 miles away east on I-70 from Kansas, which is an enormous agricultural output state. Now it might just be grain, And if you want to go to Nebraska and eat corn, but there's tons of stuff. What would happen, though, is that if there were no food in Colorado, but you were willing to pay for it, people would start driving grain and corn and selling it at market prices. We actually saw this in a terrible example in the world in Gaza, right? There was no food anywhere, but somehow there was enough food that you can argue that people were starving, but the population of Gaza went up during the 2 years of the conflict. There was food in that place. People survived. Somehow, and a lot of it has to do with, there's money getting in, or there were food supplies coming in, whatever was involved. But somehow, in a crazy shithole like Gaza, where they're living in the worst possible situations, right? Whatever side you want to think has merit, the people in Gaza were absolutely victims suffering a terrible, terrible scenario. And yet somehow there was food. Population went up in Gaza in spite of, Gaza suffering all the casualties it suffered as well. The population of Gaza went up between October 7th and now.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
What we're doing to Cuba right now is fucking awful.
Yeah.
The Trump
I mean,
administration.
when are people going to get sick of our shit?
Although, I will say, Cuba is also an agricultural paradise. If they weren't living in communism, they could be self-sufficient in
Could
food.
be.
But not in fuel.
Yeah, the fuel's the issue, and I think when we get enough distance, because we're never going to get the truth from this administration, but when we get what happened between Venezuela, the ships that were bombed by the U.S., those things blew up pretty
Yeah.
bigly, to borrow a Trump term,
Yeah.
for just carrying drugs.
Right. They're probably carrying gas.
They were probably carrying fuel to Cuba, because Venezuela produces fuel, Cuba uses fuel. This is before Castro, Cuba was a playland, and for rich people, as that time, really as the reaction to communism and the overthrow of the government in Cuba, people got tired of being used as a playland for the rich
Yeah.
and powerful. So,
But the Caribbean, the Caribbean nations, my friend Renee, he's an economist, Sloan School, MIT, very successful in the United States, but he's from Puerto Rico. Put his father up in a luxury condo in San Juan, 23rd floor, beautiful view, stuff like that. When hurricane, was it Harvey that came through? No, it wasn't Harvey. It was whatever it was that really ruined Puerto Rico. He couldn't get in touch with his dad for like 4 weeks, and he ended up hiring a private detective, really a small team of mercenaries, to go from Miami on a private boat. They went to the building where he was, and they had a satellite phone and a generator and a whole bunch of stuff so they could set him up. And they went there, and they're like, "Your dad's not in the building." And they're like, "Can you think of any place where he might be?" He's like, "Is there anybody?" He's like, "There's nobody in the building." And there's like, he grew up in this small village up in the mountains. And so they went up there, and sure enough, there's his dad having a great time. He's like, "I got tired of hiking up and down these stairs, all this bullshit." He's like, "Out here, I got back to the things I used to do. I'm fishing. I'm out gathering fruit out in the jungle all the time." And now, in most places in the United States,
he didn't get toilet paper and paper towels tossed to him by Donald Trump.
he did not. And actually, so what's interesting is that afterwards, he never went back to that luxury condo. He his son built him a nice shack in the middle of the jungle so that he could live with all his friends from the old village. Yeah, I mean, our civilization is fragile, but humanity is not.
I will say one thing about um, quiz again. There it is. But we'll start the quiz here in a minute. But what AJ asked, how, what will it take? I think the governments right now are, because we are a liberal democracy to an
They're
extent,
waiting.
sort of. They're waiting. If it comes to pass that Trump takes over, and
We don't have elections.
we don't have elections, I think that's when you're going to start seeing governments react more heavily against us. I think they're waiting for. They don't want to step out against the United States until it becomes clear that this ain't going to come back to what it was.
Because the consequences are, I mean, this is, as shitty as things have been, the production out of the United States is still just enormous, and the wealth here is insane. And the rest of the world doesn't want to stop suckling at that teat if they can avoid it. All right, summer quiz, baby.
Summer quiz. So we don't have
Leinenkugel, summer shandy.
Yum. We don't have a weekly quiz. This is about summer because it is the unofficial start of summer, being Memorial Day weekend. Hope everyone's pools are opening, and I hope everyone's barbecues tomorrow go well. But remember the reason for the season, because of this is to honor those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, whether it's for an honorable cause or one that the government's manufactured, like Iran. So
Right. And Memorial Day is about, Veterans Day is about veterans. Memorial Day is about those who have actually fallen.
Yep.
I will tell people my story that you should look up, and I'm not going to tell it, but look up the story of the Marines at the Quezon Reservoir. One of the most amazing stories in American history.
All right. Question number 1. An amusement park is a great place to have summer fun. Where was America's first roller coaster built? I think we've done this quiz before.
I mean, it's summer, so they could recycle it, but I'm pretty sure that was Coney Island in New York. New York, big city of dreams. Things in New York ain't always what it seems. Too much. Too many people.
Yeah. I want to say it's not New York because it's like one of these gotcha questions. But yeah, Brandy says New York, so correct. The first roller coaster in the United States opened on Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York in 1884. Coney Island is also the home of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, the iconic July 4th competition held each year.
Nathan's are the best hot dogs.
They have phenomenal hot dogs, but that contest is disturbing. It's disturbing to watch.
Back when Fox was a great network that showed the craziest television before they had any political wing,
Yeah.
they used to have a show called Man vs. Animal. And they had, on one of the episodes, they had Kobayashi, the champion hot dog eater, against a grizzly bear.
Oh my God.
To see who can eat hot dogs the fastest. And Kobayashi's sitting there and you're sticking them in. And the grizzly bear's just looking at him. And all of a sudden his tongue comes out. 20 hot dogs in one swoop. It's amazing.
All right, question number 2. You could also beat the summer heat inside a cool movie theater. Which movie is considered to be the first summer blockbuster? Star Wars, E.T., Jaws, or Jurassic Park?
This is Jaws.
Yeah, it was Jaws.
I remember it so well when it came out because obviously I lived in the area. But I will say that
boat.
my summer blockbuster, I watched Project Hail Mary.
Phenomenal fucking movie.
Superb.
I have not cried in a movie like that
Yep.
in ages.
Yep.
Like since I was a kid. That movie had me on a roller coaster the entire time. It was an amazing movie.
Really good. And I think that the movie is so good, I don't think we should talk any more about it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Yeah,
Everybody should
go
go
watch
see
it.
Project Hail Mary.
Go watch it while if it's still in theaters. Last I checked last week, my wife wants to go see it again.
Do you know, how about this? So this is not a spoiler. We've talked about it before. Why the phrase Hail Mary is used to describe a improbable something, a long shot.
It's the football thing, right?
It is. It's the football reference. Roger Staubach, the man who had the most influence on my life other than people in my immediate family when he was playing for the Cowboys, threw a long pass to Drew Pearson in the end zone against the Vikings in 1976. And they asked him afterwards, they're like, what did you think when you threw the ball? And he said, well, I said a quick Hail Mary. And ever since then, that's what we've called
There
it.
you go. Yeah, Ryan Gosling did a phenomenal job in that movie. Definitely go see.
Yep.
Definitely go see Project Hail Mary.
I agree.
It's apparently showing in IMAX theaters as well, which I would love to see that. But none of them close to me.
People who haven't seen it and want to watch it at home, it's only $20 on Amazon or YouTube right now, which would be cheaper than taking your family to go see it in the theater.
Oh my God! Like two people going out to the movie theaters now is like $80.
Yep.
When you factor in food and drinks and the ticket, yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. And for, well, I'll keep the rest of those thoughts to myself.
All right, question number 3. Hot dogs are a summer staple. Which city's residents consume more hot dogs annually than those of any other city? Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, or New York City? It's got to be either Chicago or New York City.
Yeah, I would guess New York City, just because there's so many hot dog vendors on the street.
Yeah, street dogs.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if it's Chicago.
Chicago's got good dogs, man.
Yeah, they do have good dogs, but they don't really have the vendors on the street as much. They do have a lot of hot dog places.
Brandy says L.A.
No, come on.
I've learned not to go against Brandy.
All right, I will go with Brandy here, and if it is L.A., I will eat a horse, which is like getting a hot dog.
Los Angeles residents consume more hot dogs annually than any other city, about 28 million pounds. Good God. Beating out New York and Chicago, according to the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council. Much of that appetite can be traced to the iconic Dodger dog. I've heard about Dodger dog. The famously oversized hot dog that became a staple at Los Angeles Dodger games.
That sounds crazy.
There
Nice
you go,
job,
Brandy.
Brandy.
Good one. Question number 4. Watermelon is one of the season's most refreshing treats. Roughly what percentage of it is actually water? 30%, 50%, 70%, or 90%?
I would go
90.
70 here. 90? I'm happy to go with 90.
What percent is the human body made of?
The human body is like 75%.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're all blood and gushy stuff on the inside. On the other hand,
Brandy agrees with me.
I
feel smarter when Brandy agrees with me.
Have you ever done the thing where you like make a hole and you pour vodka into the watermelon?
Oh God, yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh God, yeah.
All right, let's go.
Not just vodka, Everclear.
Everclear,
Melts the shit.
I use Everclear in a lot of different places. I am respectful of Everclear.
Yeah, well, you got to be respectful of Everclear.
Yeah, because I mean, it can really kill you.
Yes.
Yep. All right, let's go
and
90.
it varies because you can get certain states will limit the amount of alcohol by volume. So
yeah. So in Maryland, the top you can get is 190 proof, which is 95% alcohol. But when COVID struck, I went to the liquor stores and I bought ass loads of that and made hand sanitizer out of it.
There you go. Correct.
90%?
The average watermelon is about 92% water before you start tapping random watermelons at the grocery store. This video can help you pick the perfect one. No, we won't watch that.
Yeah.
Question number 5. Memorial Day weekend is a great time to hit the beach. Which state is known as the Ocean State? We got a guy that living there right now.
Who?
Oh, wait a minute. No, that's wait a minute. I got that wrong. I was thinking Ocean City.
Rhode Island is the Ocean
Rhode
State.
Island, which I hate the beaches in Rhode Island.
Yep.
They're rocky. They're not fun to walk on.
It depends on where you go. God, it's been so long since I've been there. Newport is really nice.
Yeah.
I was at Taylor Swift has a place there, and I was at a party at her place. And
Yeah. I think they call that stalking, Dan.
yeah, right, exactly. There was a party. I wasn't invited. She then wrote a song about me. And then there's another island that I can't think of the name of right now that we did used to go to a lot off the coast of Rhode Island.
Yeah, one of the ladies I work with is from Rhode Island. She talked about this island that they went to for a wedding and said they had decent beaches there. This couple brought us to a beach in Rhode Island, and I can't walk on this shit.
Right, exactly.
Question number 6. Speaking of states, state fair season is getting underway. Which fair is the largest in the U.S.? Dan? No, this isn't Texas, is it? I think it's the Iowa one.
I was also going to guess Iowa. The Texas State Fair is pretty damn big, but I think Iowa is bigger.
Which, you know what?
What?
That means Texas is got false advertising.
Well, the Texas State Fair is everything is bigger in Texas.
That's why I was saying it's false advertising. If it is Iowa,
all right, I'm willing to go with Texas.
No, let's go with Texas. Correct.
All right.
Texas welcomes more than 2 million visitors to the state of Texas in 2025. Although the Iowa State Fair is not the largest, it is the home to the famous butter cow statue, which makes it bigger in my heart.
Right.
Well, along with an enlarged heart, but
Yeah, exactly. I've been to the Texas State Fair many times.
I've been to the New Mexico State Fair many times. That was it was a thing to do in Albuquerque.
Right.
Question number 7. Many travelers are also choosing cooler destinations like Alaska, Scandinavia, or coastal regions to avoid the extreme summer heat. Which region holds the record for the hottest summer temperature in its history or in history? Death Valley, Mojave Desert, Antelope Canyon, or Badlands National Park?
I would guess Death Valley just because
it is. I believe it is Death Valley, unless it's been changed in recent years.
Yeah.
Correct. Death Valley is notorious for extreme heat. In 2024, the desert recorded the hottest summer on record, including 9 consecutive days of temperatures reaching at least 125 degrees. You're fucking God.
The last Freedom Fest I was at in Las Vegas, it was 117 while I was there.
I was in Phoenix back in 2007, and it was 108 degrees at lunchtime. We actually walked along the streets. That is the difference between being in the desert. You can actually exist outside for a moment.
So what Tim Hagen, friend of the show,
yep,
and Las Vegas resident said, he's like, the thing is, because it's a dry heat, your sweat evaporates and it cools you properly, even at these very high temperatures. The problem is that at this heat, you run out of sweat in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. You have to really be hydrating yourself. Yeah, it's crazy. But we would walk to lunch, and at the same time I was in Phoenix and it was 108 degrees. It was 108 degrees in Atlanta that same week.
Right.
Like, I know where I'd rather be at 108 degrees, and I would definitely be Phoenix. All right, question number 8. Lemonade is a classic summer drink. Which country is credited with inventing the refreshing beverage? Egypt, England, India, or Madagascar?
I
don't know.
I would guess Egypt. It's old. But India's pretty old too. Yeah, see, I like Egypt as well.
Correct. Most historians trace the origins of lemonade to ancient Egypt. Kashkab, a drink that is made with barley, mint, pepper, citron leaf, dates to the 8th century or 10th century Egypt. Interesting.
All right, let's keep going.
Question number 9. According to an antiquated social custom, what color clothing should you not wear after Labor Day, which comes when summer comes to an end? Black, white, red, or blue?
It's white.
I know this one. Yeah. And no longer really a social faux pas to wear white after Labor Day now, but yeah, it was. I never understood that. Let's see. Fashion experts say the rule of not wearing white was one of the many 19th century style customs used to distinguish upper and middle classes. White was tied to summer vacations, a privilege only a few could afford. That kind of explains it. All right, question number 10 for a perfect week. Finally, when does summer officially begin in the Northern Hemisphere? May 25th, June 1st, June 21st, or July 4th? I know this one.
You do know this one.
Yep, it is. Hold on a second. It is June 21st. That is the start of summer, the summer solstice on June 21st. Brandy got it as well. What I just did. Uh-oh. Dan is showing something.
I am.
He's going to show something because it's an ad. But we got 10 out of 10 this week.
Very good.
Yes. Let me remove that.
And let me just say that today's show is sponsored by tellgovernment.com. Send your messages directly to your officials. Physical postcards get noticed. You can print one for as low as $1.50. I'll show you how it works. I'm going to sign into my account. And from my account, I live in Galveston, Texas. Here are all the elected
I'm going to send
officials.
Ken Paxton my balls, like a picture of my balls.
You can't fit the, well, a picture, you can. So here's the thing, and I say, okay, do I want to send somebody to my United States officials or to the state of Texas, or let's say look at the congressional delegation, Ted Cruz, I could ask him about the Kennedy assassination. But you know what, I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to go to the House District, Terry Leo Wilson, say, let's write her a postcard. Here we go. I can write her a postcard. I can put in whatever sort of text I want. There you go. You know what? I'm just going to copy something out of what I was talking about in ChatGPT. And here we go. Oh, you know what I can also do is I can put a picture in here. Let's add a picture.
Terry balls.
Yep. There we go. This is going to be nice. It's going to fill up the whole screen. So there we go. It's about AI agents. I'm say that's the front. On the back, I'm going to put in here. And you notice says I'm a constituent. I want to tell you something. That's because when I purchased tokens, I paid with a credit card. If the payment address of the credit card is in the constituency of the person that I'm sending the postcard to, I get this special verified constituent, which when a congressional staffer looks at it, they'll be like, we want to pay attention to this. And so now I click send for one token, and I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to actually send this postcard. But I go here, agree, continue to payment. I say send with one token. This postcard gets put in the mail to Terry Wilson. You can send a postcard right now to anybody you want. Something else you can do, let's say that you are an organization like Ballots Without Barriers. Ballots Without Barriers is a client of tellgovernment.com, and they imported our widget. This is the Tell Government widget. And if you run a non-for-profit somewhere, you can run this organization. You can import our widget. People fill out a information, and it looks up whatever pattern they want. In this case, Ballots Without Barriers is only writing to local representatives. And I can say, you know what? I want to send a postcard to all of these people. Here it goes. It says, my name is Dan. I'm from Bryan's Road. This actually is predetermined by the Ballots Without Barrier people. And suddenly, postcard gets put into the mail with this image, the other things about it, all the things. So if you're a nonprofit.
Hold on a second. I think your screen may have froze on my end.
That's all right. People get the idea.
Yeah.
Tellgovernment.com. Oh, you know what happened is that I opened another tab and I was only sharing one tab.
There you go.
Anyway, tellgovernment.com. Check it out. Send some mail to your elected officials telling them something that you might be interested in. And I'll have more in next week's commercial.
There you go. No, this is a great idea. I know you've been talking about this one for a while. I still am going to send somebody my picture of my balls.
Yeah, well, you can upload any picture you want, and it's your return address on there, and you're paying for it. So
it'll be easy for them to find me.
I will say that it does say very clearly in the terms of service that we will, given a subpoena, turn over your payment information to any government official.
Give it
that
a
asks for
subpoena.
it.
We'll send them your peanut.
Exactly. All right. Thanks,
Yes.
everybody.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Political Deep Dive.
Go Horns.
Go Horns.